Hello everyone, Husky here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to use Smooth Terrain in Roblox Studio. It's been a while since I have last uploaded a video, and I just wanted to say that uploads for now will be a little bit inconsistent, as I've been pretty busy as of lately. So that I just wanted to let everyone know. So to do Smooth Terrain, you go to the Home tab, Editor, and and down here in my bottom right of my Roblox Studio, it shows the terrain editor. It might pull up on your left. You can of course move these around by clicking and dragging the top of it. So you have three tabs: create, region, and edit. And basically region is basically good for creating a just a big massive area. So like if you wanted a flat ground or something, you could just select and you could scale this up and you can just bring it out as it can only go to a certain extent. So this is as far as this goes, long-wise. And this is as wide as it goes. So you get this much footage, and you can bring it up, of course. And then you got the option to fill. And let's say we want just some grass. We're gonna go grass, fill. And then we instantly have this block of grass. That is one option if you're gonna do your terrain from scratch. You can just bring the select tool to the edge of it and continue on filling this out basically. And just like that, I have another piece. And one thing to note is the further you get away from it, the kind of more glitchy the Smooth Terrain gets. So keep in mind that the terrain is going to look its fullest when you're up close, so you will want to occasionally come into the game and check out your terrain and see if it's what you're wanting. And then you also can create a terrain. So I'm going to clear this all. So in the create tab, you can clear all. And you can generate a terrain. So we get this cube, and you can drag this out. And this basically will generate you like a whole map, pretty much, that you could work with. If you're not looking for something in particular, this I would recommend going this route and just kind of like clean up as it the terrain. If you once you get something you like, just like clear up the terrain to the way you want it to be. And go to generate. You can change the position size here, but we don't need to. So now you have these material settings, which are basically the type of areas you want. So you can do water, plains, dunes, mountains, Arctic, marsh, hills, canyons, and lava scape. I'm just, for the heck of it, gonna select it all. Biome size, I think what that is like the region. So like, let's say you have like a jungle, but there's not gonna be any trees, of course. But let's say you wanted a jungle area, and you want it to be a big portion, and you have like an Arctic, and you want it to be a big portion, you would increase this number. And if you just want small sections throughout, then you would make it smaller, of course. And then you can put caves, which gives you holes randomly throughout. Biome size, I'm just gonna make it about 580. Why not? And there's also the seed, so we generate, and it's going to bring up this. And you just give and then you just give it some time, and generate the terrain like a printer. You could technically move out around, but it is going to be very laggy, and some of your computers might even crash, so I would just leave it. And we can just watch this terrain just be created. I am going to try and hide my base plate though. It'll let me. There we go. Okay, so it has finished generating the terrain. And it looks kind of weird from the distance because of it not fully, like, it's not going to fully, load in quite right. So what I'm going to do now so that we can actually see this is I'm going to remove all this new stuff that they put in. Okay, this is our generated map, and this is kind of what it looks like. We've got like what looks like the Grand Canyon over here. We've got kind of like a marshland or a swamp looking area. Not sure why my grid is showing. Oh, actually, never mind. I know what that is. That is the base plate tech. I am just gonna completely remove the base plate, so. Um, yeah, so I'm not exactly happy with how this terrain came out. And as you can see, it looks different as you get closer and all. We got one little mountain here. This section right here is pretty cool. I like this section. I don't like this section over here. I don't. It looks kind of meh. So I'm going to try decreasing my biome size. I'm going to try because they look pretty big. I want a lot of variety in my terrain. I'm going to go with like I don't know 232. Um, then I'm going to clear this. Oh, I guess I have to. Okay. And you can adjust the height of it too, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make it taller, just to see what it does. Thankfully it kept everything else, so I can just generate again. Okay, so our second piece of terrain generated, finished generating, I mean, and, just to note, the bigger the terrain you're generating, the harder it is the harder it will be to render it. So we got this pretty cool mountain going on. I really like this section. This is pretty neat. We got like random lava over here. This looks like a whole wall over here. It's pretty interesting looking. Um, Looks like we got like volcano activity over here, but there's no volcano, weirdly enough. Then it's kind of got like a dunes, like a desert. And we got like a rabbit tunnel down here. Goes to like just randomness. Um, the desert's kind of interesting. It's very hilly, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, dunes are pretty hilly. We got this like cave-like structure, which is pretty neat. And we've got this. we got like a canyon action going on, which this is pretty cool too. It looks kind of weird all together, to be honest, but like separate, they look really cool, I'd say. And it's got like this neat little cave here. And this like cavern just looks pretty cool. Got another cave over here, some more caves. This looks pretty neat. And then we got like a lake going on here and another lake over here. And you could pretty much change this up to however you want. You can make it look more organic or not. I also have like a little bit of glacial over here. It kind of looks really, well, not kind of, it looks very out of place. So I'm not too much of a fan of that. And we got some flying terrain that doesn't make much sense. So like this, you'd want to clean up for sure. Because like floating terrain doesn't make sense unless you're making like a mythical island or something. So yeah, you can play around with these settings and get what you want out of it. I just put everything just to see what we'd get. And this is pretty neat, I would have to say. Got like more volcanic activity over here too. It's like something like this. I would suggest like making like a volcano over here or something, and it looked like it's having activity. This is just like a cutoff of a volcano. But I'm going to. That is how you just generate it, and you can work on it from there. Of course, what I want to do is I want to show how you can make your own terrain from scratch. Um, so what I suggest is what I'd suggest would be to have a base plate. Don't delete your base plate like I did. I deleted mine so that we'd have a better visual of the landscape that we generated. So you can just put a base plate just so you have a base to work on and you're not trying to make something floating in the air. It's kind of a pain. Trust me when I say that. These tools can be a bit finicky. So, what you would want to do is you would want to go to the edit tab here and you can add terrain and you can choose from a square, a sphere, a square, or a cylinder. And you can adjust the brush sizes and all that. For the most organic, I usually go for a sphere, and you can also change the pivot position, like bottom, center, top, which you're not going to see it because it's the top of the sphere. I'm going to go with bottom. Plane lock, you can do off, auto, or manual, which these are fairly new to me. I'm just going to go with off. And then you could, if you start clicking, it'll go super fast. So what you would do for that is you could do the plane, I guess. The plane is going to keep you from going crazy. But if you have the plane off, you're going to have to kind of just like spam click, I guess. So I'm just going to put mine on auto, which goes wherever you are tilted and all that. So you can I would just rough in, just block in what you would want, and don't let go of your left click if you're going flat. if you want to be a certain all like one elevation, keep holding down your left click so you can keep the same elevation. Obviously doesn't need to be perfect. And you can just kind of block in your terrain here. And of course you can also like there's other manipulation tools you can do besides this. So you can just start out 2D if you really wanted. Um, so I think I'm gonna go with kind of like I guess like a lake, mountain, landscape kind of deal. Um, I'm gonna admit that I'm not very good at making my own terrain. Um, but I'll do the best I can do. I just doing this to like show you guys the tools because just generating the terrain isn't really gonna show you guys a whole lot. So now we got like the grass, I guess. I'm going to then add water. And you can also like set to ignore parts, ignore water, etc. Um, so I kind of want this to be more. Actually, I'm gonna go with a shoreline. Actually, nah, I'll do that later. So I'm gonna make this sphere just a tad smaller because I want it to kind of like be a drop before the water, not level. So with the base plate here, this helps with the plane walking. So like if you're working on a level like this, it makes things easier. So instead of trying to make it free floating in space, it's kind of difficult. So now you can just fill in the water, kind of like a coloring book. Don't worry about it getting too smooth. You can smooth that out, the terrain out later. So this is just gonna be your rough draft, pretty much. And what we got kind of just like it's gonna kind of go random with it and make something kind of just unique, I guess. And it probably will help if you have a reference image, to be honest. So if you have a reference image, I would definitely follow that. And now I'm gonna go back to my grass. Just kind of fill this in randomly. And it can kind of be finicky if you're adding on top of water, but you can fix that later on, so don't worry too much about it. Actually, I'm gonna start that over because I did something I didn't want to do. And I, of course, forgot to increase my sphere size, but that's okay. My idea, or what I had in mind, is this side is gonna be kind of like a forest. Over here is gonna have like some mountains. Um, and this is kind of just like a lake type of deal. It's just kind of random. I'm just coming up with this in my head. So, um, I'll do touch-ups after I finish my rough draft. So now I'm going to pick a material for my mountains. I think I'm gonna go with rock. And just kind of rough in some mountains kind of wherever you want them to be. And then I'm going to make this tool a bit bigger. because I want it to stick above. Bigger than that. There we go. You don't want to make your tool too big because it will be very laggy and then really makes it more difficult to work with. You're better off just doing the extra hand movements, to be honest, than to use a really big tool. I'm not saying you need to go real small either. Just don't go like the biggest because that's going to be very laggy for you. And I can promise you that one. See, this is where like the add tool isn't going to do a whole lot of help because it will add on top, yeah, but it will look weird. So I highly suggest not using the add tool for that. So I kind of just got like a roughed in. It's not anything fantastic, nothing beautiful. And I'm gonna go ahead and go through and just kind of like smooth out some areas real quick. So you just go to the smooth tool and you can smooth out the top surface. And you can choose the height and all that. You're not gonna see too much until you look up close of what it will look like. I'm gonna turn my plane off because I don't need it for my smooth tool. And you can see it's kind of getting rid of these ripples that I don't want. And you can go through and just do that. And it'll also make things more rounded. And it'll fill up some small gaps too, but it won't fill up huge gaps. See, like, this is a bit bigger, it kind of filling it in. If you hold it long enough, I guess it will fill that, but if it's any bigger, I don't think it will fill it up for you very well. Let's try it on this. Yeah, it's kind of struggling to fill this in. And this is the full strength too, so I wouldn't use it to fill in your holes, that's for sure. So you can just like quickly like go around and do that. But I'm not gonna do that right now. And if you want it nice and flat, you have this flatten tool. This will also kind of like make things level for you. And it'll also get rid of like the bigger ripples. And you can make it grow or shrink to a whatever height you want. And just based off of these settings here. And you can go top, center, bottom. One has hash out top, so I guess it just means take off from the top. But I can't see it, I don't see it really doing anything. Maybe I need to go center. There we go. So if you go center, you take off, do that, do this first option, it just removes from the top layer, but won't fill anything in. This one will fill in stuff, but it will not like cut off from the top. So it will fill in your crevices. Or like, not your crevices, but your dips. At least it should. There we go, it's filling it in here. And you can use this to like make canyons and stuff, all that. And then this one fills in the crevices, but removes also from the top. So this one will get you the flattest of the flattest, basically. And I've found that for me, that the cube typically works best for this for some reason. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. And I'm not going to personally, I'm not going to worry too much about how smooth this is. I'm just going to, because just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just kind of doing whatever, just at random. So, now the next thing you can do is the grow tool. The grow tool is going to be your friend. I would recommend setting it to ignore water, especially if you're going around the water, and adding height. The grow tool I use the most. It fills in gaps, and you can bring up elevation of terrain. So the grow tool here is what I'm going to use to also make myself some mountains. But also note that you need to use the correct material. So we use rocks here. You select the material you want to grow, and it'll grow it. You also have the option of auto material. So I'm just going to bring up this rock and basically make myself some mountains. And of course, upping the size is going to be needed here. But as you can see, the higher I up the size, the laggier it gets. So that's something to keep in mind too. Bigger terrain tends to be laggier. So if you're making a game and you want it to be something that all players can handle, try not to make your terrain too big. Typically, games they put games in chunks where they have different maps anyway. Because having multiple maps in one game it's a bit too laggy. It's a lot for a computer to render. And it's gonna take you time as well to make something on your own from scratch because you're just kind of coming up with it or following a picture. I'm just coming up with it. But and of course you can grow it through the grass too. You just have fun with it. Act like it's a Bob Ross painting. It'll probably help you create a better scenery, especially if you watch Bob Ross paintings. I typically just start with the bigger brush and go down for the finer details. If you just think about it as like you're drawing or something, you're gonna start off rough and very rough, and then get finer and finer with the details that you do. And with the grow tool, or with these tools, the longer you hold down, the more it adds or subtracts. And yeah, you can see I'm just growing out this mountain from the top and the edges and giving it different volume as well. And you can extend stuff out too if you want through this. So you don't have to, if you made something too small, you And it's kind of just like sculpting, in a way. Okay, so now I've got basic rough draft of a mountain over here. Um, it's not gonna look as cool as well when you're just kind of looking at it like this. The magic shows um whenever you are in the game. And now I'm taking the erode tool and I'm just kind of like eroding away some of this. I'm just kind of giving it more like shape. Um, so it's not looking so like round, I guess. But also you can use the erode tool to make a cave, which I'm going to also do. I'm going to make a cave here and you can adjust the strength. I'm just going to go and erode away from right here. Or you can do the subtract tool as well, but I prefer to do erode because I have more control over it. And it doesn't just like cut through the mountain so freaking quick. So just kind of eroding away a cave. Just kind of going random at it. You know, not doing anything in particular. And kind of cutting away into the mountain. Kind of pushing out. You know, got a cavity basically going on here. Just kind of bring out some bit wider or something here. And if you want, you could add tunnels and such as well. Um, and then you can also go and take the grow tool and you could like make a structure coming down from it, or just like cave crystals or something. I forget what they're called, those things that pointy things that come and hang down in caves. Uh, Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. They usually drip water from them too. And just like, or take like a one brush or whatever and just kind of grow them out of the ceiling. That. Adding some little bit of detail, basically. Make it more interesting and not just like some round shape, you know. And there's something I tend to see is people kind of just like they take the sphere and they cut it away, but they don't really add any like texture or depth into it. Like the more detail you add, the more interesting it's going to appear, and it'll make it more cool, you know. So be a little creative. I mean, you don't have to have a plan for it. Just be creative with it. I don't have a plan. I'm just messing around with the tools. Just going off of my mind and what I've seen in nature and doing it. because nothing's smooth or perfect in nature, so it's something you want to keep in mind when you're doing something like this. Don't make it perfect, and just a little random with it. There we go, we got a bit of a cave right here. In our mountain. So, the next thing I want to do is I kind of want to add snow on top. Even though we have green around, we're just going to add just a little bit of snow on top, or why not? And you just go to the paint tool, and I'm going to select the snow, and you can change your brush size to whatever. And you can just kind of just draw on top of whatever. It doesn't add, it doesn't subtract, it's just, it replaces the material. And you can just like add a little bit to the top of the mountain. Kind of went too far down though. Don't add to the top, it's like melting basically. And yeah, you just paint it on basically. And you can take a one brush and just kind of like add details with it too. And just give you small little paint drops or painted edges of the mountain or whatever, and you can like make snow drips and all that. You can get pretty in depth with this if you really wanted to. I'm just kind of going around the tops of each mountain, just kind of just roughing in some snow. And just remember to constantly change angle view because the terrain renders like kind of weird. It's kind of finicky. And yeah, you can just kind of put in some snow. You can also make it look like snow is rolling off and all that. You sometimes the holes will go through the other terrain, so you kind of have to be careful of that sometimes. It will sometimes just kind of like cut through and do weird stuff. Not sure why that is, but yeah, it's Roblox. Roblox got a lot of bugs because they kind of rush stuff. I feel like, but yeah, we just kind of just going with it with the edges here. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with that. It's not any by any means perfect, but something. Yeah, you could even make this mountain like multi-material if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give my lake a shore. So I can just go through and paint in some mud just around the edges, and if you ever ignore water, it won't mess up your water. And it makes it perfect for you to paint your shores, basically. And you can even go in and add some like rock in here as well. The best thing to do if you want like an organic scene is to either be random, like very random with how you paint stuff, just kind of have nature on your mind, or just to render a terrain and just work with it. But if you have something on your mind, then I would make it from scratch, something in particular. So you can just go through and paint in rock wherever, span click it, whichever you want to do. Because people swim in there, so details in the water, they can be important too, especially in a scene where there's going to be a lot of swimming. So yeah, I'm just going around the edges and painting some dirt. Thankfully, with the grass, it already has dirt on the edges, so you don't really need to go and paint that in the water. You just need to paint the shores. And you can make them rocky shores too, so you could go through and change some of it into like rock. Throughout, just sporadically putting in some rocks on your edges. You could even do some sand if you want. Sandy edge. I might do that over here. Kind of like a little beach or something. Yeah. And you can also kind of blend these as well. If you go back and forth between the tools a bit, you can kind of blend them in. And kind of just go like, take like a little bit below as well. Kind of just blends. Or you can just like do like a quick little touch and kind of blends it in. To kind of blend it in, I mean. And yeah, there we go. Kind of blended this in there. Or added around it, I guess. Or you can just like grow the terrain or whatever. This is just like random over here. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. It's just kind of there. But yeah, you can put all kinds of uh sediments, I think is what I'm looking for. You can do a lot of different sediments. Very pointy water. Like you do basalt too as well. So like go through and just put like some random basalt, but that's pretty dark. So I'm not gonna add that. You could add limestone. I could just go down here and add some like limestone or something randomly. Um, there's also asphalt, which looks like this. Um, that's better for driveways, so I'm not gonna use it. You even got cobblestone, but that doesn't look like what you'd think. It looks more like stone that's been laid down. You even got some sandstone. We could just throw some sandstone in here if we want. Even put some in our mountain. kind of like paint in some sandstone into our mountain. Give it a little bit more variety than just rock. Could add some like basalt or whatever in here. Or well, salt, that's more for like ocean, so not that. Cracked lava, that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. Yes, in this area, you got some slate, we can do some slate. And some random stuff. Now, we got the side as this forest, so I could just paint leafy grass, and keep in mind, leafy grass is not going to have this tall grass, so we could do like splotches of leafy grass or something. And if you by chance do not have the grass blades like this, but you want them, you go to workspace, terrain, and enable decoration, and you can toggle the grass there. So I'm just kind of doing some blobs. They really could use some. They could really use some like different dirts and such, to be honest, for these brush tools. You can use ground. There's like a lot of there's a lot of there's like a lot of materials they could add to these smooth tools, but for now we just kind of make do with what we got. So I'm just kind of painting on random ground, even though the ground looks like mud either way. Then you can just go through and randomly take away some leaf grass, make it less round, put in some grass just in there. And then, oh, I missed shore, so I'm just gonna cut that into. Like, I would like a soil, like a dark soil, like kind of like a potting soil, as for a texture, to be honest, or, more different types of rock, more grass textures would be nice too. Um, fill. Another thing you can do is just make some like random hills uh in your landscape. Just drag and just randomly drag and apply pressure at different points in time. Make it hilly or something. Just give it like, don't make it just flat. Just kind of make it random. And it might not look like a whole lot at first, until um, until you load in. I'm gonna put auto material on so that like dirt and such can grow too. One thing I also wish was there with the flatten. Actually, sea level. Oh, okay. So, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go click sea level. We get this box, and we're going to flatten out our water. So I'm gonna go to I guess the lowest point of my water and go down there, and I'm going to bring this box entirely around this body of water, and I click evaporate, and I took a top off of the water. I come down here and voila, we've got our water down, and we've got this like edge, so we can just click our grow tool, have it on auto material, and just grow this. It gives you kind of just a little more freedom to, be random, to be honest. And so what happens if we take turn no water off? Yeah, we don't want that because water can't just climb. So we're gonna keep ignore water on. Because water can't just like be higher than water. Like water is water. It doesn't make sense for it to stack on top of itself. So, and like with these edges, another thing you can do is you can go to your paint tool and turn ignore water off, and then you can like make this brush small or something. Come through and paint around on top of your water, and that will give you cleaner edges like that. And then you just take the smooth tool and you could turn it down, and maybe not that much. Turn down the strength. Just kind of fill in this crease because that's not normal either. Ignore water. It can be kind of finicky working with the smooth tool because sometimes it'll add, sometimes it'll erode. So you could do, I guess the easier thing to do would be auto material and grow and just turn down the strength on that. There we go. You can just grow at our shore here. You could even make a water cave like this too, considering it's already eroded, so yeah, a water cave of sorts. So we have finished our water. It's nice and smooth. I could go around and clean up even more, but for the sake of this the video, the time on this video, I mean, for the sake of the video, I'm not gonna sit here and make it look perfect by any means. But yeah, I could sit here. You could honestly sit here and work on this terrain for many hours, but I ain't got time for that, so yeah, we're just gonna make do. So what on earth is with this? Okay, so I got this weirdness going on, so I'm just gonna retrain it. And so far this is what we got. And you can of course go through and do smooth terrain, grow back and forth between the tools and make it perfect to your liking. But of course you can't just go and like put trees here, so you could just either build your own tree or have a tree. And put trees all around. You know, there's plenty of realistic looking trees. This one's pretty realistic looking. So is this one. So you could just like grab random trees and well, maybe kind of make your own um forest. These are really cool. It's sakura trees. These are really pretty. But yeah, you like literally just grab a bunch of. You could copy and paste the same tree too if you really wanted, but that's kind of boring. And the nice thing is with the move tool, it kind of just glides with the surface of the smooth terrain. So you don't have to worry about it being perfect or anything. You don't have to fiddle around with, the dragging the arrows around. Um, but yeah, you just if you're doing like a full-on forest like that over there, then yeah, it's gonna be difficult to line those up. And of course, you could use this. If I can find it. The rescale model tool. Make them bigger. Give variety. Oh shoot. Turn it back off. Okay. And rotate the tree around. Get a different perspective of it. And I mean, even just putting in trees willy-nilly can take you a while because of how big your terrain might be. It'll take a while. You just roam around anyway, though. Or you can have rhyme and reason, but that'll take you a while too. Just keep that in mind. And yeah, you can. There's a lot of trees you can use in this what's it called again? Toolbox, in the toolbox. And you could easily just make a forest like, because these trees are pretty realistic looking as is. You want to go and make your own trees, it'll take you a while, but at least you made them. And oh, that looks really boggy. And you know what's gone into them, and you don't have to worry about um, if they were done wrong, something. I'm not gonna sit here and try to fill this whole area up because that's a lot of trees to throw in. Because it's a big area, it's a big map. These pink trees don't really fit, but they look pretty. You can also put jungle trees in. Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff to work with in the toolbox. I think I covered all these tools. I mean, there's the subtract tool. That is going to take away terrain super fast, as you can see. Just a few seconds, got a rabbit hole like that. It can remove things super fast. So, I don't usually use a subtract tool unless I need to remove a huge amount of terrain or something. And you can't adjust the sensitivity, you can just like, you click and yeah, it's not, you don't have a whole lot of control over it. The replace tool, I guess, is to replace all of one material to another. So like if you wanted to replace all the water to mud, you can do that. In an area too, it looks like you got this box. Like, so you can select an area and replace it to something else. I don't need to do that, so I'm not going to. You can also do a brush. Like that. You don't have to just do the box. That's pretty much all the tools in a nutshell. So we're going to just check out our terrain now. And it is pretty laggy, probably from the trees. I'm going to actually come check out the trees, but you can also adjust this water. I'll show you how to adjust that in terrain color here in just a second. We're just gonna take a trip over here real quick. Very laggy. Maybe it was the amount of water. Water can be pretty laggy. Got this sakura tree. Looks pretty cool. This tree was not anchored, so that will add to your lag. But the point of this is to show how nice things look when you like join. the hitboxes, I'm sure you're kind of messed up. And the tree's got like a wind animation, that's pretty neat. Look at this bark though. That's some nice bark. That must be something new. Um, it, there's some stuff. It's been a while since I've touched Studio, so there's probably been a lot of updated stuff. And if there's any stuff that you would like to see a tutorial video on, just let me know. Oh yeah, that's a lot of water. Oh, or maybe I just never noticed that. That's actually not lagging anymore. I wonder if it's just because of that tree. But yeah, that's the downside of free models is that you don't know how they're going to be optimized, how they're created, so they can be really laggy. So that's just something to keep in mind. They do save you time, but keep in mind that like they have a downside. We got our hills. It looks pretty flat from the sky, but you join the game and you actually have some hills and a bit of variety to your elevation here. Of course, it could be better, uh, but there's no point in me sitting here for hours just to make this look all nice. And we got a cave over here. I want to check that out real quick. The mountain also, it's like the scale of stuff too. It's harder to see until you like actually join the game and check it out. So you can like, because from like the sky and all, this doesn't look like much. But when you're actually here, it's like, it's huge. It's actually massive. Doesn't seem like much until you're actually there. So I often recommend frequently like checking out your stuff like this so you get an idea of what it looks like from player perspective and not like creator expected perspective, because it's going to look very different. This mountain doesn't even look that big until you're actually here. But this mountain's actually massive. Look at that. Look at that view. But yeah. So now we have the water. The water looks like a tropical water, not doesn't really look all that real. And you can change the color. I'm actually going to remove these trees though, because I don't want to lag. Okay. So we have workspace and then terrain. You come to terrain. Oh, and if you do not see these, you go to view and then properties and explore. You want those open. So we have watercolor here, and you can change the watercolor to any color you want. And water is usually blue, of course, and you can like make it look like a more realistic type of water. And you can change the water reflectance. So you can do like no reflectance to high reflectance or somewhere in the between. You can change water size, which that changes like the ripples. wave speed, so it'll make the faster waves, or you can make them like non-existent, which looks really weird to be honest. Or you can make it like really slow water. And you can change the wave size as well. So, and then you got water transparency. So you can make it completely opaque, which looks weird. Or you can make it basically full transparent, which makes it, in my opinion, look more like water. Makes it look more realistic. And you can, it still has like this color hue to it, as you can see. So you could like, you could even make like a murky water or make it like clear water, like really clean blue water. Which is gonna kind of be like a blue gray color. Because water is not typically just bright blue, unless it's like a tropical island or something. But yeah, this looks pretty realistic, I would say. Um, and then you can click expand on material colors, and you can change all of these colors. So like, I can make this grass blue or purple or pink. I can make the rock, I can change it to any color rock. I can make it darker or lighter, whichever I want to go. Or like right now it's kind of like a green color from afar, but then I can just come down here, make it more of a true gray color. And we can change the mud color, so we got the mud here. You go to mud and you can make it darker if you want that. Make your grass darker, lighter. Make it, or you could like make it more drastic of a difference. So you get like a darker grass, and you have the leaf here. Give you like multiple colors or something, and you can. And it's kind of nice to customize your own colors because you can make it all that more realistic. And it like you could do like this, redstone here or sandstone. You know, you could end up turning into your own kind of like texture, just like that, because red stands out quite a bit, and then you can do that, and it's like its own different stone instead of like that red sandstone type of deal. And that's all there is to it, to smooth terrain. It's how you'll get like realistic terrain and that. And I don't see people often mess with these types of settings. And it kind of surprises me a bit, especially with all the showcases. You'd think there would be more people that like would experiment with this stuff. But I've heard a lot of people don't really know a whole lot about smooth terrain, so I figured I would do a video on it. And I hope this helps you guys, and you guys learned something from it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, or you can join my Discord. We have a help desk support. You can feel free to ask questions there. And we have open source. I put open source stuff there too. If there's also any tutorials you would like to see from me, leave a comment down below and I'll try and make a tutorial on that in the future. Just note that I'm not very big on scripting. I only know just very basics. So if it's scripting stuff, I'm not the person, your go-to person, but everything else, just leave a comment down below and I'll try to get to you. Thanks for watching and see you guys in the next video.